My last topic of the day is I want to talk about tattoos and piercings and your opinion on them. You know, you're a grown man.
I'm a grown man.
So
That's what my mother tells me.
yes. Do you have any opinion on it, really, to start out, or?
I know that you want to ask me a question, so go ahead. I'll answer the question.
Well, I was thinking about if I wanted to ask you or not.
I'm happy to answer
Do you
the
have a
question.
tattoo?
I have 0 tattoos.
Okay.
I have 0 piercings. I've never had a piercing.
Here's my follow-up then. Would you get a piercing on a dare?
No, and I generally will accept a dare. I one time shaved my goatee into a handlebar mustache.
I've
and
seen
there's
the pictures.
Yearbook evidence of this, but that was not permanent. Like I was required to keep it for a amount of time, but the permanency of tattoos and piercings.
A piercing isn't permanent, though, is it?
It's not permanent, unless what is the gauge size where the
don't know.
piercing becomes permanent?
It's like 00 or something like that.
00.
Yeah, I think so.
So no, I don't think I could do that. I would not do a piercing dare. No.
Okay.
Shave my head,
Really? But
wear
not a
a
piercing?
dress. I don't know.
See, but a piercing. See, that's why I was asking piercings instead of tattoo, because tattoo's permanent.
Right.
But a piercing, you can take it out, and it'll grow over. So,
Right.
So no, not at
I don't
all.
know. I still. You're right. It's not permanent, but in my mind, I can't get over that hindrance of it seems permanent to me.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And it was not like when I was a kid, when I was in high school and whatnot, it was not a thing. Like neither tattoos or piercings
Really?
were a popular thing at the time. So I didn't really have friends or.
It depends where you grow up, though, I think.
Well, I went to Charlottesville High School.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I moved here from Philadelphia right before I went to high school, and I cannot, I don't think any of my friends have piercings, and very few of them have tattoos. Although my brother, my younger brother, who I believe Mr. Glover knows, has.
He was like 2 grades above me in high school.
He has it's a range. It's either 20. It's somewhere between 27 and 31 tattoos.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And he's
that's
been
crazy.
collecting them since he was 18, and he is 32 now. He was
Yeah,
born.
I was going to say, I definitely remember your brother having tattoos in
And
high school, at least.
There's no theme to his tattoos either. He has friends who are tattoo artists, and he's been a willing canvas, with the exception of his back. He doesn't have any on his face or his neck or his
arms, his
hands. He's
sleeve.
got them on his forearms, not on his hands, but he's got nothing on his back. And he's very coy when I ask him about that. I don't know what if that is the final masterpiece.
Maybe.
Right. But he used to pressure me to get a tattoo.
Really?
And I just don't even know what I would get.
That's true.
I'm not inclined to get one. But Forrest, do you have a tattoo?
I do not have a tattoo.
Do you have any piercings?
I don't have any piercings.
How come?
Well, for piercings, I don't really want to get a piercing. I've never liked the look. And for tattoos, I'm underage, and I don't have a need to go out and get a tattoo right now and be rebellious or whatever. And if I wanted to get a tattoo, I don't know what I would get. I don't know
So
if
you're
I,
not gearing up to get a tattoo?
No.
You don't have a grand design?
No.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I even really want to get a tattoo. Or I will. It's definitely a thing to do now.
Yes, I would agree.
It's a lot of people have tattoos, and actually,
There are a lot
I've
of tattoo
heard
parlors in Charlottesville.
there are also, but Richmond has the highest per capita tattoo population in America.
That's where my brother lives.
Really?
Yes.
Yes. See, so if you want a tattoo, I think Richmond's the place to go get one.
There's
I think
a lot
we
of
should
good
ask
places in Richmond, yeah.
Mr.
Yeah.
Glover if he's willing to answer.
Yeah,
Talk about it, Mr.
fire
Glover.
away.
What how many tattoos do you have? What was the impetus for them?
I'll start with piercings if you want.
Yeah,
Oh,
do
sure.
piercings,
My
yeah.
ear's pierced. My left ear's pierced. I had my right ear pierced in college briefly, but it got infected, so I took it out,
Oh.
and never wanted to go through that again. And I'm glad I did, because I considered gauging my ears in college. So I was really close to starting that process. Looking back, I'm glad I did not do that. Not that it would affect me as a career. I think that you can have your ears gauged as a teacher.
Right.
But in general, I'm just glad I didn't do that. I had my eyebrow pierced for about a year and a half in college. Yeah, this eyebrow right here, my right eyebrow, and there's like a lot of different, like that's a controversial piercing. Like a lot of people don't like the look of that one, but I was told by numerous people while I had it for the year and a half that they liked it. Like I constantly got positive feedback on that, where a lot, like many people would come up to me and be like, I usually hate eyebrow piercings, but yours looks really good. So I got that feedback quite a lot. But then I had to take that out for work, and I don't know why I never held on to that longer than like a year and a half in college, but one day I took it out and I just never put it back in. I was also in a rock band at the time, and we were touring and doing shows and stuff, so it was definitely part of the look. I had black hair. I also experimented with dyeing my hair. Like I've dyed my hair every color that you can think of. As far as tattoos, I got my tattoo. I only have one. It's this one on my forearm, and it was basically the end of college, and I had always wanted a tattoo. I always knew that I wanted a tattoo. I know that I'm going to get more without a doubt. I've been putting it off for a while now. But as far as the concepts, like hypothesis, just the word, my dad's a scientist. It represents kind of my belief in life about like trying new things, but when you're going to like putting like your best guess before you start. And then just the scientific method is kind of just, I think, a good metaphor for living your life, just doing something, figuring out what went wrong, trying to do it again, and until you succeed, basically. So there's a few levels to it, but it's kind of funny because I went in with my friend who was going to get a tattoo of the state of Virginia on his arm, and I wanted to get like the word hypothesis just on my wrist, just like this big on my wrist, and the artist was like, it's a fairly big word. I don't know if it'll look good if it's small on your wrist. Have you considered like doing a forearm tattoo? And I was like, no, not at all. And it was I got it done in Fredericksburg, where I went to school at University of Mary Washington, at this place called Jack Brown's Tattoo Revival. And when you go in there, like I don't know, I just assumed it would be just like your average tattoo parlor. But when you walk into this place, the art on the walls is just amazing. Right. And it turns out that the guy that runs the place, this guy Kenny, is like he's nationally treasured as far as a tattoo artist. Like he's done work on politicians in DC. He's done work. His work's been featured in National Geographic magazine. He's like a very, very well respected tattoo artist, and I'm sure that he does a lot of work in the Richmond area too. But yeah, Kenny didn't actually do my tattoo. It was this guy, Kelly, and he had just started his internship there. Oh, okay. And so, going back to your brother.
You got a tattoo from the guy starting his internship?
I did. But apparently he was known for being the best at script. So I knew I wanted it in script, which is essentially just like a fancy font for a word for text. And when you go in, like it's kind of like a cool experience when you go in. I was really nervous, but like you go in, you kind of book your time, and they put it on a stencil, and then they apply the stencil to your skin. And as soon as the stencil went down on my arm and I saw it, I was just like, that's what it's gonna look like. I was like, let's do this, because it looked really good.
You weren't hesitant at all?
No, okay. Not. I've never regretted my tattoo a single moment of my life.
Did you like wear a long sleeve shirt and hide it up though for your job interview?
That's actually really funny. I wore a long sleeve shirt at Monticello High School for like a year and a half.
I can attest to this.
Really? Yeah, every single day.
In the middle of August, Mr. Glover would be wearing a long sleeve shirt pulled all the way down.
And no one thought about it.
No, I did not. There was like a moment where I saw another teacher in our building that has like, I think he has like 6 or 7 tattoos, and he was just like rocking his like his short sleeve polo, and then that's when I was kind of like, like maybe this isn't like a big deal, because there's definitely a stigma with tattoos, and so I was just nervous that like it would be received like in a negative fashion, but that's never been the case. It's always like an immediate icebreaker with students. Like students will just be like, "Hey, I like your tattoo," and just in general, like outside of school, like it's I'm really happy with the art, the way that it looks good. He did a great job, So yeah, I've never regretted my tattoo, and I have like a concept for a whole bunch more. I just haven't gone and gotten them yet, but it's, you know, something that I plan on doing as I live my life, without a doubt. I want to do full sleeves on both arms at some point.
All right.
Not necessarily the back though.
Extremely, like, I don't know, but like that was Mr. Glover being extremely like rational and reflective and contemplative of the tattoo, and I think that I just don't know how often that begins the tattoo process.
Right.
You know.
Correct. Yeah, I would say that if you're going to get a tattoo,
You have to know.
Yeah.
Right.
Like what you can't just like, a lot of people do that when they turn 18. They get like whatever, like an anchor or whatever, or like a heart says mom in it.
Right.
I don't know. It's
On the dare, the tattoo on the dare.
Yeah. Right. And so I don't think that's a really bad idea. And
Absolutely.
I agree.
I
I
think
definitely
you regret
agree.
that idea.
An impulse tattoo is not something like, you really do want to put a lot of thought into it and a lot of care, and then you want to do your research. You want to find a good place, and a place that you know. Even going on Yelp, you can look at reviews. You can look at the artists will put their portfolios online. But there are a lot of good places in this area for sure. You know, you can go to Richmond. There's couple good artists in Harrisonburg. There's even in Charlottesville. There's a few places that are been around, is widely respected. So yeah, you can't just go into a tattoo place just because it's your 16th birthday with your mom and get a heart just because that's. No, I don't disrespect a heart tattoo by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't know. I definitely respect the art. It's art, it's art for your body, and I think it's cool.
Well, in the same way that, like, maybe I have a Thomas Kincaid painting in my living room versus some sort of, abstract piece of art. It's going to be, you're going to put on your canvas the type of art you're geared towards.
And the people who make tattoos, they really are artists.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They really know what they're doing. The ones who are good at it, Some of them are like back of the basement.
Yeah, you got to do your research, that's for sure.
But there's definitely, they art artists. And I was thinking, tattoos have actually been around for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Like the frozen man they found, he had tattoos. And so it's interesting how it's become a thing that, and I wasn't alive, but I know it was a thing like in the 70s and the 80s, but it was like a punk thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it'll be very interesting in 20 or 30 years. Right. Like my grandmother, who's 90, doesn't have a tattoo.
Right.
But be very curious what, how society adapts to, a 75-year-old woman with a slew of tattoos. Or, I think that if you saw right now like an 80-year-old man with a tattoo, I would think, oh, he was in the military. He was probably in World War II or Korea or Vietnam. But, when Mr. Glover is 80 years old and he, maybe he has more tattoos than just the one he has now. I'm very curious how that'll be perceived.
I think about that all the time, like just how different the generation of current 80-year-olds are going to be from like my generation of 80-year-olds, where like, I was just thinking about that, like, I'm going to be 80 years old and like listening to Kanye West and like, and like I have tattoos and just like, it's just very interesting to see there's such a big difference between our current, generation and past generations. It's going to be very cool. Cause like, we were alive for the birth of hip hop, and just, I don't know. It's just, that's like one of the ways where I'm constantly seeing like the difference in age groups. It's just like how different hip hop sounds now. I'm gonna be like, oh man, it's gonna be like listening to like, I don't even know, just like classic rock, like how it is now, like listening to like Boston or like this, like that's what I grew up on. It's like younger folks are gonna feel that. I mean, they already do. Like Biggie's respected by teenagers, but it's like it's like old music. It's like
it's
old
true.
people music.
A couple years ago, Reese Farabee, who's a graduate now, her independent study was on tattoos, and she documented in Charlottesville tattoo parlors and her friends, and there were a couple of older, in their 70s, men who she had a conversation with, and she video recorded it. And these guys were funny. You could just tell that these guys were They were very alt in their day,
Mm-hmm.
in the 50s and the 60s, and they were covered in tattoos. And they were funny. They were angry, and they were funny, and they were spitting mad when they were talking about society. So I just think that it's, you know, it's become more acceptable. And I'm glad for it.
Tattoo
you know?
parlors used to be illegal in New York City.
In New York City?
I read an article about it, and then there was an underground tattoo parlor that's still around now, and now it's like a public tattoo parlor. But it was like the renowned like tattoo parlor, and they had their own unique style of tattoo that you could only get there, and like, but it was illegal, and I think it was like that in other cities too. I'm not sure, but it was shunned,
Right.
you know.
Be interesting to see if that was like a local law, a state law.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then if you could track when those laws were lifted and the proliferation of tattoos.
The other thing that's happening in tattoos right now, I've been reading about tattoos. I don't know why. Are fad tattoos, and they aren't.
What does that mean?
So it's when a whole large amount of people get a very similar style of tattoo all at once. And right now it's like a very thin line tattoo, and it's like an artistic, like symmetrical pattern kind of, but it's all with really thin line work. And I was reading like a thread online of tattoo artists, and they were complaining how they don't like giving those tattoos because in 5 years they will fade and not look crisp at all.
Okay.
They will look really bad.
Yeah, as you got to stay out of sunlight, direct sunlight, like really makes tattoos look terrible. Just aging in general can mess with tattoos as your skin changes. But yeah, fad tattoos, you got to stay away from those.
Mr. Glover, so when you explain what a fad tattoo is, a fad tattoo jumped into my mind.
Which one?
And
I've had a couple that popped into my mind.
So I was thinking like letters from a non-Roman alphabet, maybe
like
placed
Chinese
in the
symbols.
lower
Right.
back area.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was what jumped into my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that could be a fad tattoo.
Yep.
Other fad tattoos, Mr. Glover?
I was thinking like, just in general, just like tribal tattoos now, or like the barbed wire,
Oh, right, the barbed wire.
There's the spider web on the elbows, like you
I've
see that a
seen
lot.
that.
That's
I
like
don't
a
like
really
that.
popular one that I see all the time. Just in general, there's a lot of art styles that are like replicated like pretty consistently. But yeah, the spider webs on the elbows.
Are the
Chinese
majority
symbols.
of tattoos fad tattoos?
I don't know. That's an interesting question. I think maybe a lot of tattoos are influenced by what is being done at the time, you know.
I'm also
but
curious, the technology to remove tattoos, has that advanced enough where it essentially goes away?
You can do it, but it's extremely painful.
Yeah,
I've
it's
heard.
way more painful.
I
than
think it's like
getting
a
the tattoo.
laser, and they like remove layers of skin.
Yeah, it burns. Basically just burns your skin off.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's supposed to be very painful, very expensive, way more painful and way more expensive than getting the tattoo itself.
Right.
But I wonder, is that a growth area in tattoos? You know, can you design a better removal process? Because you're saying, you know, massive growth in the number of tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably going to be a booming industry to come.
Yes. I don't know. That's
So get
interesting.
on that for us.
Getting
That's how
on
you
the
make
new
your
tattoo
millions.
industry.
Yeah.
All right. This has been episode 7. We're going to wrap it up. And Mr. Barron, can you tell us what you do at Monticello also?
Yeah, so I'm the gifted resource teacher, and I'm the Associates Department Chair, and this year I'm teaching one section of AP US History.
Great.
Can we give a shout out to Mr. Eliason, who's under the weather with golfitis today, so I hope he's feeling better
Yes,
soon.
we
I look
can.
forward to doing this with Dean sometime
In
soon.
the future.
Yeah.
Sure thing. All right. This is the Stang Station Show. This was episode 7, and you can subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, and hit us up on Twitter and the stangstation.com. That's it. I'm Forrest Veerhoff.
He's really good at this. He's going to take Ira Glass's job.